Friends, today I'm going to talk to you guys about the base hit mentality. The base hit mentality, as opposed to the swinging for the fences, the ever so tempting strategy to try to hit your goals. I mean, I'm guilty of it before. Sometimes I still get the urge to just want to take shortcuts, want to sprint. But the downside to that, friends, and trying to achieve your goals in that fashion is you're going to burn out. And if you don't gain traction right away, you'll likely get discouraged and you'll likely stop, quit, give up, however you want to say it, put a pause on it. That will likely be the outcome to a big goal that doesn't mean it was never possible or within reach. It's just if you would have approached it in a different way, you probably would have gained the confidence to actually hit it and achieve it. So for those that don't know, my name is Jesse. I'm 27 years old. I consider myself to be, throughout this life, hitting the goals that I've been wanting to achieve, over and over again. I became a nurse because that's something I decided I wanted to do to live a successful life. I mean, middle class isn't the worst. Being comfortably in it isn't too bad. And ultimately what I wanted in my life was to be successful. And if you watch some of my other videos, you know that, I didn't necessarily want to become a nurse since childhood. It's just something I decided to do as a smart career choice. So throughout this life, sometimes you will eventually have to make decisions that are wise for your future self. Choosing a solid career, regardless if you love it or not, is something you're gonna have to consider at some point. Not everyone wants to be in IT, but maybe they're decent, with computers and they decide to go down that path. And maybe now they work for a big tech company or something, right? Making a good income. And then they use that income to live a good life, go travel if they want to, invest on the side if they want to, have that as their main hustle when they work on a side hustle and what have you. But in order to get to any end point, for example, in choosing your career, it starts with a very big goal. For me, it was, to become a nurse, right? That's a pretty big goal. A lot of people are trying to do it. It is competitive, but the base hit strategy, the base hit mentality is something you can apply for trying to become, an IT specialist, become a nurse, get into fitness, and anything it is that you want to do. I've been applying this same strategy for that, right? Becoming a nurse, getting into shape, working on my own personal development journey, knowing that, when I start something, it's gonna take a while to gain traction. Or, when I start something, it starts with a pretty big goal at the start. And in order to actually gain traction on it, you have to break it down into smaller and smaller pieces. That is pretty much the base hit mentality. Taking a very large goal or a goal and breaking it down into digestible pieces. And I'll give you like 2 examples as we go here. So for me, for example, I became a nurse. Or let me even backtrack. I wanted to be successful in this life. How do I become successful? Well, some could say, in a different variety of ways, right? Success can be what it is you determine it to be. But let's say I wanted to be financially successful. I want to have money. I want to survive in this life. I want to be able to thrive sometimes, right? And go on some nice trips, not have to worry about my finances. So in order for me to do that, I decided I had to choose a smart career that would, pay me a good amount, not something that would pay me a smaller amount where it'd be harder and harder to, be financially successful. That's when I was first early on in my, adult life or young adult life. I decided to become a nurse. I knew they made some good money. $100,000 a year was, as a potential outcome. And that's a solid middle class life. And you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about money. So I'm taking this large goal of wanting to be successful, breaking it down slightly into deciding I want to be financially successful, and then deciding, going to become a nurse is actually going to allow me a path to get to financial success, right? To make $100,000 a year. So now breaking it down into becoming a nurse, right? This is where you start to break it down even more. And a lot of people get discouraged because now they take the isolated goal or the isolated chunk, right, that was here to here now, maybe around here, and becoming a nurse is daunting, right? But now you have to take that goal, spread it out again, and again break it down into chunks. Well, how do you become a nurse, right? Just vaguely. Well, you got to get into a nursing program. Well, how do you do that? Well, you make yourself competitive and you find out that you have to take some prereqs. You do these prereqs, you get A's in them, right? Each A is an isolated goal that you have to attack, right, with drive. But let's say you pass all your classes that are prereqs, you get your A's, now you've made yourself competitive. Now you have to take a TEAS test. You also do that well. Again, you make yourself competitive. And now you finally get into this nursing program. And now you're in. And now you're in the nursing program, right? Again, you extend this goal. In the nursing program, what do you have to do? Well, you got to pass your classes. I mean, honestly, you just got to show up and pass your classes. That's really all you got to do is just survive. They tell you what classes to take and this and that, and all you got to do is just not fail. So you went from before having to get all A's in all your classes to make yourself competitive to now being in the nursing program where all you got to do is survive. I actually thought nursing school was somewhat easier than the very competitive nature that it is to get into a nursing program, if that makes sense. But let's say you survived nursing school, right? You passed. You didn't fail, you're done. Now you study, right? Take the isolated event again, and you study to get your RN license, and you pass. And you know, I could break each and every single area into more and more pieces. Like, let's just dive into studying for the nursing license. When you get a program to help you study, you designate time throughout each day and each week to study. You put in the time and you feel confident enough. You have the knowledge now and you go take the test. You break it down further and further into pieces. You set a deadline for yourself to take this test and you take it and you pass it. And in passing it, now you're a licensed RN. Now you apply for jobs and you get hired as an RN. You took this very large goal of becoming an RN and you did it now, and here you are, an RN. But if you look at it from a very big goal vantage point, you will get discouraged as opposed to breaking it down into smaller and smaller pieces and making it feasible for yourself without getting discouraged. Every time you get that A right in your prereqs, you gain traction. When you pass your TEAS test, right, you gain traction. Get into a nursing program, you gain traction. Gaining this traction along the way gives you the confidence to continue onward on such a large goal. But that's just nursing, friends. You can apply this to anything that you want to do in this life. You can apply it to getting in shape. You can apply it to buying a house. You can apply it to getting a car. You can apply it to building a financial investing portfolio. You can apply it to getting into a relationship, finding your partner. You can apply this to anything. But if you look at each goal as an isolated, large task, it will be daunting. But break it down into small pieces, friends. You will thank yourself. You'll gain confidence along the way, and don't swing for the fences. If there's anything I've learned in this life, is that this life is a journey and it should be treated as such. Base hits, my friends. Don't look at it this big. Make it easier for yourself. And the more of these goals that you accomplish in this way, you'll gain so much confidence in life, and you'll recognize that it's truly feasible to do probably the majority of things you want to do. It's just a matter of finding the time and energy for it and putting that into it. You got this, friends. This is your life. You build it and shape it and mold it how it is that you would want to live. I know there's a future you out there that you have envisioned for yourself, just like I do for myself. My goal is to be successful, but how do I do that? Again, small pieces. I became a nurse. I'm trying to get in shape. I found a great life partner, and you just kind of make your way. You might be successful already. If not, you might be on a path. And if not, maybe you're pretty close. I'll see you on the next one.